Hello, how are you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Just want to say thanks before I start to everybody who's been watching the video, who's been liking, subscribing and whatnot. Things seem to be going quite well. We're going to try to keep the videos coming as often as possible. Sometimes it is going to be a little bit more difficult. Sometimes we'll be able to get a few videos out in a week. It just kind of depends what's going on around here. Now today we have something a little different. It is a breaker. It's not like what you have seen so far. It's not like the likes of this Astra here that has some damage on it. This Model 3 actually has no crash damage whatsoever. And even though it has no crash damage, it's still going to be written off. So it is unfortunate. For the person who owned it, they're definitely not going to be happy that their car had to be written off. For us who are going to break it and sell the parts, the more parts the better. Now, I don't like to see cars like this getting written off, but unfortunately it is part of this game. We see so many cars that come through that may not have any damage. Now, a lot of people will tell you that the likes of this been written off is because of the fuel type, because it's electric. Now, I can understand where people are coming from. Whenever a battery gets wet, it's not something that you want to be dealing with. Now, in terms of these Model 3 batteries, the battery itself is actually very well sealed. So even though the car was in a flood, or whatever way you want to call it, the battery itself most likely has no water in it. Now, if we get a chance, we will drop the battery out and we'll strip it down to get a look at it. Now, it just kind of depends on what we have time to do. Now, having a look around the car, there's not really a lot of marks, if anything. There is a little mark on the front bumper here. There is a mark in the back window. So the only thing I can imagine is somebody has sat something down here and closed the boot, which has broken this back glass. Now, if this was a car that came up for sale and it was relatively cheap, it's actually probably one I would have personally bought myself, because it's in quite good condition. We've seen the mark on the front bumper, we've seen the back glass, we've seen this little mark here, and there is odds and ends. Now, well, a bit of moisture in the tail light as well, but that's a standard Tesla tail light thing, but we'll not get too much into that. So what I was saying before was, in terms of the fuel type, everybody will say that these electric cars, when they get any water into them, that they will be written off. Now, if you go on to any popular auction sites that have salvage cars, like the likes of Copart or whatever, if you go and have a look, you will be able to see that there is plenty of cars that have water damage, but they're not actually written off, so they can actually go back on the road as well. Now, there's a lot of speculation as to why they get written off in this way, because there's actually a lot of diesel and petrol cars that also get written off. Mainly you'll see that it's a lot of new cars, because over time, I personally think that a lot of the electronics in that, as you can see in the likes of this Tesla Model Y here, this is one of the ones that came in the other week. It was hit quite hard, but you can see how many electronics are just sitting around there. Even if you come in, if you look in the dash, the infotainment screen and whatnot would be in there. You can see obviously there's a lot of wiring, even just in the doors. But when there is so much wiring in a car, it makes you kind of think that, are those modules going to survive? Now, initially, when you first actually have something that has been water damage, you'll actually probably notice it with your phone or whatnot. If you've ever dropped your phone into a puddle and you've went to use it again, it may work, it may be okay for the time being, but unfortunately what happens with it is over time the components start to corrode, and when they start to corrode they stop working, which is something that would happen with the likes of this. So although the screen is working right now, although almost everything can power up, the only thing this won't actually do at the minute, if I go here, it's asking me for a pin to drive. Because this is a category B and it's been written off, I can't send off my details to go and add my details to this car and be able to drive it again. So this one, it would drive if we had the pin to actually drive it. Now this one in particular is not going to, because we don't have that pin. I have the key card, but I don't have the pin, so unfortunately I can't do anything with that. Now, to have a quick look around the car, we can kind of see some of the stuff with it being flood damage. Now, it's not as bad as you'd think, but we'll take a look around. So, first of all, we'll take a little look inside the boot. The boot is usually the giveaway for any flood or water damage, because it's usually the boot area that ends up the water. Now, with the likes of this being cracked, you can actually find that the seal could be damaged here, so it could naturally be getting water in anyway. Now, this isn't down to Tesla fitment. This is actually just because we have the boot open. I don't have it latched here at the minute. It's what we do after we process the car, because a lot of the time we take the 12 volt and remove it, so it means that we're still able to open the car without having the power on it. Now, let's have a little look in the boot here. So as you can see on the passenger side here, there is some mold starting to form. Down the bottom there, it doesn't actually look too bad, but you can see a little bit of mold. In further back, there's not really too much going on. It's not terrible. It's obviously just your standard boot. I'm not really going to get into pulling the plastics and whatnot back, but yeah, you can see the mold is starting. The boot itself does not feel wet at all to me. Maybe a little bit over there. Maybe the more I push into it there, you can feel it. So I would say the water has probably been up to at least that level there, if it wasn't just running into the boot. Now, if we go forward and we actually have a look inside here, usually what I do is I'll come to the likes of the B pillar here, and if something has been really badly flooded, that's usually your telltale sign. So we can see here that there is a little bit along here. Now that just might be natural dirt. It can be hard to tell sometimes, but I can't see a dead giveaway. You can maybe say that line there, but I don't think so. I think it hasn't maybe made its way up that well into the car. The carpets and whatnot, they're not too bad. Down in here, you can see a little bit of mold starting there. You can see it up actually on the sun visor. So you can see up here there is some mold. The steering wheel is doing the usual thing where the leather is starting to go, but there is only a little small bit of mold on it. Bar that, down in this little compartment there is mold, and whatever else that is, I'm not going to reach down to find out. But bar that, it's not too bad. I would drive this car absolutely. If we look, actually there's a little bit more in the back seats here. Just as I get out there, you can see there is some in there. So I suppose it's kind of areas that you don't be as often and doesn't have as much ventilation. Yes, there is a lot more here at the back. So that front line actually seems to be the line of where the water has went to. Okay, so if I go back, that's roughly about there, just in around where that bottom hinge is. And if we come to the front, yeah, it's roughly around the same. So you can actually see the water has come up as far as here. So it definitely has went higher than where the battery is. The battery runs to roughly about there. It would be a bit too hard to show you at the minute, but I will put one up on the left one of it is, so you can have a look. I'm kind of wondering if it's a bit more isolated to this side. So if you have a look, there is a little bit there. Obviously a lot of mold on the handle, but down there is definitely a telltale sign. You're talking probably, I'd say, about a foot higher or so, and then the belts and whatnot, they are starting to go on the front of the seats. Let's just pop over to this other side. And let's see. Yeah, so at the back you can definitely see it's on both sides there. You can see how high it's went up. So you're talking probably in around there, about halfway up the wheel or so. I wonder, can you see it on the front here? Yeah, no, you can definitely see it on the front there as well. So yeah, all in all, it is a pity to see. Not a bad little car. I've actually I've been on the hunt for a black Model 3. I would say my next car is hopefully going to be a black Model 3. I think, unless I can get a Highland red Model 3, but definitely I'll be going for a black well, pre-facelift Model 3. But yeah, this one overall is not too bad. We'll open the front just to take a little look and see what's there. Now, because the 12 volt is still on it at the minute, it is easy enough to open. Usually we will just latch these, but you can actually see there's a bit of water in there, so that's quite interesting. But yeah, have a look at it. This is the kind of cars that we get. This is the quality that we try to keep in. We try to get as good a cars as possible, so it means when the stuff is stripped down that you're always getting quality parts for your EV. Personally, I am not always a fan of seeing the cars like this, because it means that a car that is quite good is getting written off. Do I think this car still could have drove on for quite a long time? Yes, absolutely. Can I say for definite if that's going to affect the battery, if the mold is going to affect your health, which is obviously a massive issue? You don't want to see something happening to somebody like that. I can't say, so I can't really say yes or no on that side of things, but I do think this is an unfortunate waste of a good car. What do you guys think? Do you think this should have been written off? Do you think it should still be on the road? Keep in mind, obviously, the mold, the problems that you could end up with electronics, the problem that you could potentially run into with a battery. As I said, the battery for the most part is sealed, but over time different things can start to leak. So what do you think? Do you think this car is justified to be written off, or do you think no, this category B is wrong, this car should have went back on the road, somebody should be driving it today? Just let me know what you think. We are going to do stuff in terms of stripping batteries down and showing you batteries that have been flood damaged and that as well, so that is coming in the future. But for now, if you can all like the video, comment, and please subscribe. The more people watching us, the more we can do and the more videos that will come along. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.